The word insecurity has been with Nigeria for a while now, and it's becoming one of those buzzwords that we just get used to, in this country, and it definitely impacts, a lot of things at this time. Is Nigeria too big to secure, in your opinion?
Absolutely not. I don't think there is any objective, and I use the word objective loosely. The objective in this particular case, is Nigeria. I don't think any objective is too big to secure. That might be challenging in securing the so-called objective. Nigerian geopolitical space is not beyond being secured. Though we have some challenges in ungoverned spaces around the country, but that doesn't mean that Nigeria is too big to be insecure. Some of it's, we have some architectural issues, security architectural issues that need to be revamped. I believe that we're running on using the software, we're running on outdated software when it comes to security architecture. And I think we are nearing the revamp of the national security conversation again, the national security architectural conversation that we need to look at holistically how to secure Nigeria, because everything ties into security. Everything from food security to healthcare security to economic security to national security, border security, all these expressions of security, because we have about 35 or 40 expressions of security. But whenever we mention the word insecurity or security, we always talk about the physical aspect of it. But there is so much aspect that is tied to the construct of what we call security. And Nigeria, to be honest with you, we're not too big to be secured. And I think with the right people and with the right infrastructure in place and the right architecture, I think we're in a good place.
All right, tell me, in your experience about a country that's, been through, insecurity,
Yes.
Been able to actually tackle it,
Yes.
and bounce back and, get their economy running.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, we might have forgotten maybe history. We've not done too much of historical background, but most of all the countries to where we are today actually have always had security challenges, from the Great Britain to the United States. I mean, we went through all these phases of insecurity. Most of the Middle East, some of them are still going through those phases right now. There is always a time in your historical historical timeline whereby the issue of trying to understand the state structure, how the country is supposed to be formed, and all those things, everybody tussling for the same political, geopolitical space. Those things causes insecurity, and everybody has a vested interest. When self-interest overwhelms the community interest, it becomes a security challenge. Then over the course of time, as things kind of unravel over time and things kind of even out or smoothen out, some countries have been able to triumph over those challenges and some haven't. Some personal interests have now prevailed over the national interest. So those are the issues that has come over the course of time, whereby you see some countries that have done well with security and some that haven't. But security is always an ongoing and continuous process. It's not something that, we feel secure today. Nigeria has been secured before, it hasn't been. Let me break it to you straight. We've never been really secured. If you look at it, only that, and I think the technology and a lot of things that come to play, that our increased population has really showed the fault lines in our security.
Because I know there was a time, people could travel by road,
Yes.
with these, without having fear, being either kidnapped,
Yes.
or robbed, on the highway.
But the same question I always ask, because those incidents never happened, does that mean that we were secure back then? It's not, because I believe that those fault lines were really not exploited. That's why we felt like, because those incidents weren't happening, that we were actually secured. They were there. They've always been there. It's only that now that people are now using those opportunities to exploit those fault lines, and where we are insecure. At the same time, I also have to mention that the occurrences of these insecurity or some of these incidents that we're seeing, that doesn't mean that work is not being done in the security perspective. So it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time. But it's a journey. It's a journey from being insecure to being secured. And I don't think any nation on earth can proudly say that they are fully secured. No, it's
So I guess it's
changing.
relative.
It's a very relative, and you have to put it in context. Yeah.
All right, let's look at the 2024 budget, sectoral allocation. We're seeing about 3.25 trillion. That's earmarked for defense and security, sector, if you look at the budget sectoral allocation, that's about 12%, of the 2024 budget. Education has about 7.9%, single digits. Health sector, 5%. Infrastructure, 5%. So defense and security is taking, massive chunk there, of the budget for 2024. And I guess that amount is okay.
I mean,
how should that money be spent, really?
Ideally, so if you look at it, because everybody has a piece of the pie, because it's under the umbrella of security and defense, that doesn't mean that other sectors doesn't have. Well, you mentioned healthcare. Healthcare security is also part of the security umbrella as well. The educational security, the economic security. We have the communal security. They have political security. You have, there's so much aspect and expression of security that everything is all kind of encapsulated under the security under the security umbrella. But there are certain things that I really want to highlight here, and I think I've seen it. I've seen the revamp in the defense industrial complex, which I've always been advocated because of our neighbors, because of our population. Nigeria is what we call the center of gravity of sub-Saharan Africa. Because of that, anything that happens in Nigeria kind of changes the whole dynamics of geopolitical landscape in sub-Saharan Africa. So it is important for us to have our own defense industrial complex in such a way that we don't outsource our security architecture, because what has been done in the last few years, at least from our adult life, is the fact that most of what we call security today has been outsourced to other countries. You've seen a lot of Western and Eastern influence in our country, but it's about time that we need to believe in our own abilities, that we can actually secure ourselves. We can produce enough technology, we can produce enough armament, we can produce enough protective gear to kind of secure our men and women that are out there, either in the Gulf of Guinea, either in the forest, Boko Haram, doing what not to keep our nation secure. But there's so many other things that needs to happen as well in the issue of the crime gathering of the crime data gathering, which we are doing with Route Watch, is a platform whereby you can actually, digital crime gathering. You can actually, people can report incident happening around them and can use those data to be able to produce intelligence of what's really going in our community. That will actually affect policing, that will affect communal security, that will affect intelligence overall. And of course, we're doing work on food insecurity as well, as I've discussed with you in our private conversations, that the issue of food insecurity is such an enormous tax has been plaguing Nigeria for so long.
Now, if we look at data there showing us countries in sub-Saharan Africa with high food inflation, yes. We see Nigeria there at 37.92%.
Exactly.
That's in the previous inflation report. Ethiopia, that's sitting on 31.6%. Malawi, that's 42% right now, food inflation. In the Malawi,
wow.
Sierra Leone, 44.71%. Then we have the big one, Zimbabwe, 84.40%.
Wow.
That's food inflation alone.
Exactly.
At this point. So it's a big problem. But in Nigeria, we've heard about, the farmers not, able to go to the farms at this time because of, security concerns and, the logistics and all of that. Is there any short-term solution? You see, because we keep raising rates. We see the central bank, trying to tame inflation, and we've raised rates about 600 basis points already in the first quarter of 2024. What do you think can be done?
So,
size rates, rate hikes.
What is worth doing is worth doing well. And I've said this over the course of time, is that what we have to build this issue of how to rebuild Nigeria back brick by brick. Nothing is going to come by miracle. And the same issue with the issue of food insecurity. Like the project called Nigeria Food Insecurity Project is a project that we started about gathering data. And the insight that I've seen so far in some of the work we've done is the fact that we oversimplify this issue of food insecurity. We talked about it, that we need to plant more, we need to do more agriculture. That's about 45% of the problem. We have storage issues, we have supply chain issues, transportation issues, we have just taxation issues, both formal and informal, both legal and illegal. We have, the route issues. We have the stakeholders issues. You talk about Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers. You have the farmers, the women, market women. Everyone in this so-called food value chain has some part to play in this, both the consumer part and whatnot. But we're so focused on the agricultural part that we believe that if we continue to produce and produce, there's so many places you go to in Nigeria. I just left Ogbomoso. There's so many places that you see that they will have so much food in. There's problem with moving from place of abundance to place of scarcity, and that is one of our biggest problems. Our infrastructure is deteriorating day and night. And you know, there's just so much that we don't focus on. We focus solely on agricultural part of production, and ability of the farmers not to access market. That in itself is one problem. But even the produce that they have, how do we get it from where they are to where it is needed? And that is a problem. I ate, nice bowl of, jollof rice over here in Lagos, about 15,000. And you go to Ogbomoso, it's about 2.5. That's a huge difference.
Right.
That's a huge price arbitrage. And those things, and we start going about, the cost of Congo.
But I'm sure that 15,000, I'm sure that was a fancy restaurant.
I know, it's normal. Okay. So you know what I'm saying? So when you start looking at those things and price arbitrage, you're beginning to wonder why people spend almost 70% of their salary on food in Lagos, and they spend certain percentage in other parts of the country. And those are the things that we need to start having conversations about. That is how we attack food insecurity.
Right. All right. What's your outlook,
generally
for security in Nigeria at this rate? We're going at this time.
I think it's all hand on deck. I believe the way things are going right now, we've always kind of, through our vote, we've given the responsibility of security to the government. But over the course of time, we realized that government and government alone cannot do it. Every hands on deck, the business community, the academic community, and the government has to work hand in hand. I just left Ogbomoso, like I told you. We just started the Supply Chain Research and Innovation Center over there with a group of, with Vice Chancellor, Professor Razak, and Kalilu over there, and, the Department of Management Studies, Professor Remy, Professor Remy Aworemi, and, Mr. Niyi Abiri and all those guys helping us to start this initiative, whereby we can start having research-focused solutions, whereby the industry, the business industry, the academia, and the government can come together and proffer solutions in the area of security, supply chains, because they're all interlinked. They are very, very interlinked. You can't have one without the other. And I believe without us working together, we cannot leave all these responsibilities for government alone. Everyone has to get involved. The people that are being secured and the people that are providing that security blanket, everybody has to work together to make sure that the solution that is being proffered is a solution that makes sense. And we need to start believing in ourselves that our solution can solve it. We cannot bring other people. Nobody will help build this nation. Nobody has best interest of this nation than the people in it, right? So if you think others they have the best interest at heart, you're brilliant.
I guess nobody's going to come save you.
Absolutely
at this point.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. It's great having your perspective. Mr. Adebayo Adeleke is the founder of Supply Chain Africa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.